Hi guys. Oh, my hair went. Hello. Good afternoon. It is Liberty Librarian time. This is me, Heather Biederman, and I'm really glad to have you join me today. Oh, I was just I had my computer muted and I was having problems and I just saw that I was playing a video in the background and I went quick stopped it before I got on. So hopefully you didn't hear that too much. I was looking at some of my intellectual freedom news before I got started and then I got sucked into it. So you know how it is. It's been kind of a distractible, weird week, but I'm so happy today. Like you guys that watch along with me, I've been taking some classes this summer and it's been really hectic, but two of them finished last week and we had hiring committees and things have been crazy. But I got grades for two of them today and I got A's. Yay! So I'm going to celebrate. Right now I'm drinking a soda just because I need some caffeine. It's been like of a day. But I'm just so glad to get to spend time with you. And next week, we're not going to have a Liberty Librarian and no Sweet Subversives if you watch both of the shows. I am going to be gone for a week. I'm doing what they call an academic residency for my doctoral program. So, yay, Kara, yay! So, I'll be gone next week. But when we come back, I'll fill you in about what's going on and how things are going. So, I just feel like, that Kermit flail, like, ah! I am so relieved. I don't know why. It's been like, it's almost 10 years since the last classes I really took. So I was really extra hard on myself. And the person who's teaching these classes is also the director of my program. So it's like, oh, I want to do good. So I did good, and now that's water under the bridge. It's done. So, yes. So when I'm done here tonight, I think I might go and have a small beer with my husband, even though I'm trying really hard to stick to the diet. It's just, sometimes you got to celebrate the little victories. So hope you have lots of good things going on. I hope you're having lots of victories too, because this has been kind of a hard summer, don't you think? I mean, like you'd say, like COVID's done, so we should all be like, phew, party. But no, it's been really tough. And, Kara has been having a hard time too. It's just been so much work and, uphill battle the whole way. So when all this is said and done, we're going to party so hard. It's going to be great. And actually, I think this is a really good year. It's a really great year. But it's definitely been challenges. Oh my gosh, Total Vagabonds! Yay! Very calm, beautiful evening. What? Well, it's so nice to see you. I wish I was in the beautiful Emerald Isles right now too. It looks so amazing and beautiful. I am like gearing up. Like after I'm done with my doctoral program, my goal is to do a European trip. So get to come out to go see Ireland. I want to go, because I'm a Scandinavian person too. I want to go kind of up and around. I want to go to Scotland. I want to go to Norway and Sweden and Finland, maybe Denmark. Come up and around. And I would love that. That would be like a dream vacation for me. So I'm hoping. And yes, it has been too much work, and it will be. Although I will say, I had a little aha moment. As my instructor has some videos they posted, and he had said something about looking at dissertations of other doctoral program people. Ooh, I'm sorry, I'll finish my thought before I go into look at that comment. So I had looked at intellectual freedom dissertations by libraries and by librarians, and there's not very many. So I'm thinking that might be the way I'm going to go. So this next week, I'm supposed to come up with it's not exactly what the dissertation is going to be, which is going to be like the whole the second half of my doctoral program is going to be all writing this big giant dissertation, right? But I'm already getting really excited about intellectual freedom stuff. So how cool would that be? I've already been doing the show for a couple years, and I think about it all every week. So it makes total sense to do something that I already think about all the time. So I I saw there's not a lot written for dissertations, so if I can maybe like glean some ideas about how they did theirs, maybe it'll just come together. Like I'll have to probably do a study or interview people, get data, put it together. But like it's a possibility. So I felt like this huge weight kind of lifted off me when I felt like, yeah, this stuff can totally get done and it can happen. So, and now I can go back to Total Vagabonds, kayaking the West Coast, great fun. Grew up in the Scottish border. Oh, I've been to Scotland and I loved it. It was very beautiful, and I just felt like I'd been there in a past life. It was just amazing, and I've never felt quite like that again anywhere else. And I'm sure of it. I'm sure in some past life I lived there, and I love that whole region. I love the beauty. The people are so cool and nice, and one of my great friends here in the Mankato area is an Irish lass, and so she and her mother have gone out to Ireland every few years, and her stories are amazing. She plays a harp. It's just amazing. She's been on the show before, Amy Cordham, and she's just an amazing person. And when you hear her talk about Ireland, you just feel like you're transported. So I can't wait to go do that sometime in my life. So I'm already making plans. Oh, yes. Seeking a good challenge. Yet what shall I do with the extra time? Right? Good challenges. Well, today I have ideas because I've decided that I want us all to be super rich. And I have this idea that I'm working on for publishing low content books. But I have also been doing some digging about, I joined a Facebook group. I might have mentioned it here before. I should bring it up on here so I can actually see it. It's the Facebook group is based on here. I got too many things all at once, Heather, like one thing at a time. It is 28 books to $100,000. So what it means is you write 28 books for YouTube. And, you obviously can't write them all at once, but you can make a 6-figure salary if you write 28 books. And some people can write books super fast, but I think an achievable goal is to write a short-ish, like less than probably 100-page book, maybe even 50 to 100, depending on the content that you have of books. And you can do one book every 30 days. So you can get done with 12 books. So then you're halfway there. And then year 2, you'll be at 24 books. And a couple months in, you'll be at 28 books. So then you should start bringing in more money each month. Now, there's some caveats. You have to be able to write at least okay. It's hard because, oh yeah, Kara exactly is a great example. She has each of her books. She has 2 books, and she makes $1,000 a year. She doesn't really have no marketing. Right away, it was probably a spike because we talked about it more on social media. But and she had 1/3 coming out this fall. That's going to be awesome. So I mean, like, you guys. Kara has gone through the process, and she really went all out with her books. She had a designer to help do the cover, and she had a really great copy editor. And I'm thinking of, her books are, one's a book on brewing mead, and it is an awesome book. So if Kara Schultz, look her up on Amazon. The mead book is really easy. I'm stupid about recipes and stuff, and so it's got to be easy and something that you can follow along. Her book is amazing. The mead turned out perfect every time. So if I can do it, you can do it. And then she made this really extra special book. This is the gem, the one where almost foolproof mead making. That's exactly it. And it is almost foolproof because I'm a fool and I can make the mead. And the other one is martinis. Kara, help me. It's a glamping book. Oh, my brain is so melted this week. I keep thinking it's Martinis and Marshmallows. Is that right? And she'll probably type it right now. And it is a really great book. Martinis and Marshmallows, a field guide to tent glamping. And which I think is awesome in the book is there's a picture in my backyard that is in the book. So I feel like I'm famous by proxy, where her future daughter-in-law in less than 30 days is featured in the book as a model, beautiful blonde Mallory. And she took a cold shower in my backyard. It was like November or something, December. It was freaking cold. So she got in her swimsuit and we hung up the camping shower, and she was like doing like a shower, and it was cold outside. It was so cold. So I was out there with a blanket, and then we got her pictures done, and then we wrapped her up in a blanket, and then we gave her booze. So it's amazing. So every time I look at that book, I have it on my shelf. I pull it out all the time because I think it's a beautiful book. So cold. She was so cold. And what a trooper. She put up with our shit. So I think, and I've only had short stories published, but I think that there's something that changes inside of you once you see your work published for mass consumption. And it really changes your worldview. It makes you feel like you can do things, you can achieve anything. I think the two things that have helped me get a lot of confidence is getting my stories published in an anthology. And I have a couple, I think I'm in 3. So I need to do more. And that's one of the things I've been thinking about. Even though I have like this huge amount of work coming up with the doctoral program, I'm still thinking about, I have a couple short books that I'd like to get out for nonfiction. And then I would also like to, I have a really good idea for a story that's just demented and very libertarian too. So I'm not going to ruin it by sharing it until I write it down. But, do it. Just do it. I wrote some notes to myself, and I've looked at a few different sites, but the 28 books to 100K, the author is named Michelle Culp, Kulp, and I'm Facebook friends with her. And her page is really helpful. And there's about 500 people, and it's a private group, so you'll have to get approved to get in. But she also has a book on Amazon called The 28 Books to 100K. And this is where I found out about this, and I've been looking through it and getting ideas. And what's cool about there's a lot of writer Facebook groups that they're very helpful to each other. They want to help each other figure out how to promote, give ideas on how to do your book covers. I found, and what's weird about this Michelle Culp's book is I loved the color. It's like black and this bright pink, and it's like almost all of her books are that same color scheme, and they just stand out. And I remember the first time I saw it, I was like, oh, I want to see that. And it was like a really reasonable price. And I buy all this shit on Amazon all the time. So I get digital credits for if I get things shipped slowly back to me. So I do that all the time so I can get the free books on Kindle. So I got her book, and I liked it so much that I went and I bought I think a book set of hers and a couple others, just because I thought all the ideas are good. There's marketing, and she comes up with ideas for how to write more effectively, and you don't have to be the world's best writer. I mean, I've looked through some of the books that I've gotten on Amazon. Some of them are they're okay. Some of them are just fascinating. One that I read, and I'm probably never ever going to do it, is I wanted to know about people who did OnlyFans. So I got and I only spent a $1 on it. And so I read about it, and I may never ever do OnlyFans. Please, I'm not gonna. I'm just ugh. I would just laugh too hard the whole time. But I appreciate it, and I got to find out about how much money some of these people made and how they did it. And if you think it's easy money, it's not. And that was what was cool to me, is that you got this perspective of the business side of things, which I think is fascinating. But I love Amazon for like reading books about topics that you don't like see on the regular bookshelves. I work in a library, so I can get just about anything for myself, except stuff that is Amazon, because Amazon don't deal with libraries. We don't really have a great way of getting content. So, and they make money. Oh, they make so much money. So what I want you to do is to think about ideas. You don't have to have a huge book. And a lot of people think, I'm not that smart. I can't figure out how to do this. And honestly, you just got to have a basic idea. What's something that you do really well that people go, oh, I love this and I want to know more. I think about, we have a friend named Wendy, and she does really cool recipes for vegetarian cooking. And people ask her about it all the time. And she's got a real good eye for it. She does a blog and takes pictures of her food. And every time I talk to her, I'm like, you got to do these books because they're amazing. So, sometimes you can't see it on yourself. You know what I mean? Like you look at yourself and go, I don't know what I write. But if you have a good friend, ask them like, what book do you think I should write? Sometimes, or a coworker that you trust, or somebody like a family member. Family's kind of weird because they're always like, oh, honey, everything you do is awesome. And like, not everything you do is awesome. Okay. You just gotta, that, that sometimes there's that spark and you just go, okay. I've had people lately go, you've lost a lot of weight. How did you do it? Yeah. You got to get back into your Amazon author account. Sometimes you can go through customer service on there and you can go, I'm having problems. Can you reset it? And then they can send it. And it should be tied to one of your emails, hopefully the one that you still use, and you can get it reset. I've had problems with that too. There'll be something I don't use for like a year. Like like when I did the show through Freedomizer, like we switched a bunch of stuff over and it was so easy. Like Karen and I were talking the other day about how like some of the things had went automatically to being podcast version. And when I was through Freedomizer, they had they paid a lot of money for this, but they had a program that would automatically convert the stream stuff to podcasts and then put it on all the major, and it costs a lot of money to do it. And then we moved to Freedom Revolution Network, and we didn't have that. And so I tried to do it, and it's a lot of work to do it all manually. But there's ways to do things. I like to keep things affordable and not expensive. So like when I think about publishing, self-publishing, I don't necessarily mean you need to go and hire people to do expensive art, to do like in-depth copy editing. You can get a free subscription to Grammarly, right? Grammarly is a great resource, and you can run all your stuff through, and it checks for grammar and spelling errors and basic stuff. Conceptual, like how does this all fit together? It's not going to be as good as a human, but I would start with that, and then maybe have a trusted friend or someone that who's into it read through and see if they see things, because never submit stuff like that without having at least one other set of eyes look at it. You probably, when you're starting out, can't afford to have like a lot of people, like a lot of money to be spent on copy editing. But if you don't do copy editing and people make fun of your work, it hurts, and it will take all the wind out of your sails. So you need to at least run it through something like Grammarly and have at least one or two other people look it over before you submit it to KSP, the Kindle service, whatever they call it for Amazon. And I've only played around with the Kindle stuff a little bit for Agorist Writers Workshop, and it is a little confusing. There are services that you can pay for that will submit it, But let me tell you, go on YouTube and look, and there are so many resources that will walk you through it and how to submit and how to get free book cover stuff. Like I use Canva all the time. I use Canva to create our show art for both Liberty Librarian and we for Sweet Subversives. And we had an artist. I had an artist for Liberty Librarian, and Kara got an artist for Sweet Subversives. So we didn't design it. We did pay money at the front end, but to put it all into different like logos and for YouTube videos and for our social media, you want to have something that so you can do a little design so you can tweak it so it fits different spaces. It's a lot of fun, but definitely you don't have to break the bank when you're doing this. So, I mean, I say this for anything that you want to get into. You should find the things that you're passionate about and just do it. It will change you. You'll start wanting to present at like conferences and do workshops and teach people about the things that you love. And people do want to know about the things that you love. I always think like back to when I started this show, how scary it was. Like no one's going to listen. No one's going to comment. No one's going to talk. People do. And weirdly, like I get some regulars like Total Vagabonds and Kara like all the time. But the cool thing is like after the show has been released, like how many like personal messages, comments, like things that get sent to me because they're like, hey, I thought about what you said and this is what I'm going to do. And you start to make friendships with people that have very similar ideals. And I think about all like the libertarian people we know and how cool it is like to have like the short story anthologies, like a Ghostwriters Workshop, or like to start writing your book, the things that you're excited about. Like I think of Kara and like, she does all this training. Like you got to write your book about training because you're an expert in it. People pay you big money to come to their areas so they can learn the things that you know. And because she's really good about getting candidates trained and elected. And she's like the go-to person. So of course, like it just makes total sense to write a book about that. And I do stuff every week about intellectual freedom. I'm gonna like write a book about, well, I have to do a dissertation first, but I'm gonna convert the dissertation information into a book down the road. So there will be a book. So write what you know. Some of the tips that I'm just gonna say, I challenge you all to start doing an outline. And it's really not that hard. I found a really kind of an interesting site, and it's written by somebody I don't like, but I think they did a really good job with it. Tucker Max, he wrote a book about how to pick up babes back in the day. I think it was like the early 2000s. But he's got a website that he runs and he works with called Scribe Media. And I found a book outline template on his site that was really good. I'm going to link to it later on the Liberty Librarian page. But, doing outline, it sounds hard, but like you come up with the concept. What do you want to write about? Okay, I'll take Kara's book, for example. Like I want to write a book about making mead. I want it easy. So you brainstorm the chapters of your book. Like, how are you going to start? What are the main things that what needs to be said in each, like obviously it's a recipe. So you need to go from start to finish. What do you need for it? What are your tools? Why would you use this versus this? Questions people might normally have. And then what they're saying is like, you can do a table of contents, start with like, I usually say there's like about between 8 and 12 chapters in most nonfiction books. Do an introduction, talk about like what are the most important things, like why, like myths 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, or things that you didn't know about mead, and like each chapter is a thing you didn't know about mead, and they discuss it, the history or whatever. You should have a hook to your book and then a hook to each chapter. You need to have a good short story or something that you talk about, because you got to humanize your stories or people are going to get lost. And each hook has to have an emotional draw. Like, I don't care if you're writing about how do I do QuickBooks, how do I do accounting? There has to be an emotion to it. Like, don't you feel great when you know where every last penny is, and then you can retire when you're 55 because you're so freaking rich? Something like that. People go, yeah, I want that. I'm going to be really good at this, and sometimes you can like have quotes, and you can talk about like, where it's going, what are the next steps. So once you do that, so you go through each chapter and you do that. So once you get all the chapters, then you go into each one, and it's like you expand the outline. You're like, what are the 3 to 5 things that you want to have in each chapter that you cover? And then you bulk it out. And and some of these can be really short. If you're doing a 50-page book, it's not going to go forever and get like crazy, but you're going to need to kind of build it up. And so let's see, not to structure your chapters like you'll write them. So sometimes you do it the traditional way, and sometimes you don't, and it might not work. And there's people that just start writing and they're great at it. They already have the whole concept and they do it, and that can work. It can totally work. But a lot of people get stuck. And people have said, should I use something that does outlining? Some people use Scrivener, which is expensive, and it can really be great, especially if you're doing fiction and you want to, like, let's say you're George R.R. Martin and you need like this world building, and you have to like have documents that kind of go between, and like character sheets. That is too complicated for you. If you're just starting out and you want to write a book in 30 days, do not use something like Scrivener. You can do something like Google Docs, or open source. There's tons and tons of open source stuff out there. You don't have to use any of the big snooping resources. There's a lot of good free stuff out there, and I have a couple shows about that too. So just give it a try. Next week I'm a little bit unavailable, but I have ideas for a couple books that I'm planning on doing. And when I get back, I'm going to start writing up my outlines. I might even start doing it next week, because I'm going to be like living in a dorm for a week. Ugh. That's going to be fun. Hopefully it's not super hot there at night, because I have this feeling there's going to be no air conditioning. So I'm going to get tortured. Literally tortured. But I think that if we like each did this, like you got to put it like a limit. Do 3 days of outlining and mild research if you need to. If it's stuff you already know, you shouldn't have to do much research, but definitely do cite your sources. Don't get yourself in trouble. Start looking at YouTube videos on writing. If you haven't written anything in a long time, start doing that. I'll post some links. There's some really good resources. I look at so many YouTube videos on writing and everything. It's kind of helpful to always be in that mindset. And then you can decide if you want to create, like, you get this written, then you can, like, I'd say don't do the book cover until after you've written the content, because then sometimes the book cover kind of comes to you because it ties into the main concepts, and you're like, oh, of course I'm going to have like a leaf or something on this. It's a eco intellectual freedom or something, like it'll come from the writing, and you want it eye-catching, but it doesn't have to be a lot of money. And then edit. And once I get to that point where it's all ready, I'm going to do another show where I talk about how we uploaded it, how to market it, and the next steps. You don't really have to market it that much. I mean, Amazon's already huge. You got a lot of willing people out there who want topics. There are a lot of people who do this very professionally. They say to do subject searches for the most popular topics and write books based on those. So if you love to research like I do, You can write about anything, really. You don't have to be a super expert, but I think for your first book, it would be a lot easier if you were comfortable with whatever you're writing about. So, and realize that if it does get to be very popular, people may invite you to speak about your book. They may want you to do a workshop or presentation about that topic. So it could be something that will continue to bring you money. And as I'm not going to retire yet, obviously, but as I get closer to retirement, I think, how cool would it be to have like over 28 books bringing in income every month? And Karen and I have talked about this before, is so you don't have to work. You could just have an income stream continuously coming in. And these are things where I've been looking at lately, like, how can you do it so it is a low amount of work and yet kind of fun enough where you enjoy to do it. Some people love to do side gigs where like they're walking dogs, they're taking pictures and selling them online. You do you, right? But if you've always wanted to write a book and you always wanted to get something published, independent publishing is exploding right now. So why not do it? That would be a great option, a great opportunity. So I'm going to continue to talk about this because it's in the back of my head. There's part of me that is just, I'm always been wanting to write books. I love to write. It's just always finding the time and not losing interest. That will be another topic for another day. Like, how do you want, keep going and then finish it? Because I've started so many books and I'm like, well, this is poopy. Done. So stick with it, okay? I want you all to be rich and famous. That's my goal for you right now. So on that note, I'm going to do a little bit of intellectual freedom news. I like, my personal news is I found out that I'm going to be doing two presentations at Minnesota Library Association in October on intellectual freedom. One is going to be on like security and surveillance and how people are being monitored in libraries and how to prevent that at your library. And then the other one is more about policies and how libraries should be thinking about the needs of their patrons and writing it up in policies so that way when things happen, it's not a surprise. Like the FBI comes and wants to investigate someone. What does the library do? How do they communicate this to the patrons, and how important it is to the library to protect the rights of patrons. So I'm excited. Oh, my cats are going to start killing each other right now. I just saw them running. So anyway, yay. I am excited, and also, like, when you do a lot of stuff, sometimes it's hard to say no because people keep bringing you awesome opportunities and like, you should do this, do more. Sometimes you got to say no. It's not fun to say no because all the things that people ask me to do are either part of my job, things I enjoy, or, stuff I would do anyway in a heartbeat. And sometimes you gotta like step back a little bit, and it's been hard. It's been really hard. So I sympathize with you. We're all hardworking people, and sometimes you got to pick your battles, but still, like, you got one life. So you also, are you going to be satisfied walking away from some of this stuff? And some of it, I say, no, I'm not. So I'm going to do it anyway. And then I lose out on a little bit of sleep and I get a little tired. So that happens. Oh, caffeine is my friend. So anyway, intellectual freedom news. Oh my God, I can hear my cats killing each other. Don't die, kitties. So there was, where did I just see that? In our state of Minnesota, we are working on our intellectual freedom committee. So speaking of, I'm going to see what the letter was again. I closed it accidentally. Where is the letter that we worked on? We had, there's Anoka County had a intellectual freedom issue. Let's see if I can find the letter we wrote. Here we go. I'm going to read it. This is what it says. I'm going to just read it out loud. This is what we sent in. Libraries are not neutral. As Anoka County confronts censorship in its midst, refusal to allow library staff to refer to Pride Month or Black Lives Matter as they create displays, the Minnesota Library Association's Intellectual Freedom Committee stands with library staff who have been shouldering the brunt of this controversy, and more importantly, with the already systematically marginalized BIPOC and LGBTQIA plus residents of Anoka County who have had to deal with yet another act of oppression by the libraries, I will say. Contrary to popular belief, libraries are not neutral entities. Library staff make daily decisions about what to add or not to collections. Libraries champion freedom to explore ideas, privacy of user information, and more recently, open access to taxpayer-funded scholarship that was once only available to the public through journals with exorbitant subscription prices. County officials' efforts, I went too far, to communicate guidance of neutrality as rationale for limiting allowed content for library displays. So this is about library displays if you weren't up to speed on it, to suppress ideas, flying in the face of the Anoka County's library's mission, connect community to ideas, information, and inspiration. This stance from county administration is also the exact sort of thing the approved freedom to read policy on the library website foreshadows. The problem is not only one of actual censorship. The shadow of fear cast by these pressure leads to even larger voluntary curtailment of expression by those who seek to avoid controversy. So, Anoka County officials may think they are being neutral by prohibiting use of these phrases, but the statement they have made is loud and clear that Black lives do not matter. LGBTQIA plus community members should not be proud of their identity, and that white heteronormative comfort takes priority over the inclusion of the full diversity of their communities. So this is written up by David M. Collins on behalf of the Intellectual Freedom Committee, Minnesota Library Association, which I'm a part of. And I'm very proud of that letter. And that was sent to the Star Tribune, amongst other places and news media up in the Twin Cities. And I have not seen that it has been published anywhere. So I'm saying it here because I am proud of the work that we did. And I think that it is, Sylvia read Kara's books. So anyway, it is ongoing. There was an article last week, or news coverage in our Care 11 news, and that is on the Intellectual Freedom page. When I click it, it of course plays their video interview. So there hasn't been a lot of chatter about what's going to happen. I know they're having a meeting, I think, next week about it at Anoka County. So keep an eye on it. These kind of things happen everywhere, and it is really starting to blow up more because people are uncomfortable, so they want to talk about issues, and this is a form of censorship, and it is not cool. So we will stand for free ideas being shared, and it seems so little, right? It's just a library display, but not having the opportunity to discuss issues that are important to communities is censorship, and it's important that we have the right to keep doing that in libraries. If not, then we're a community center that is stifled. So, oh my God, my cat. He's crying. I forgot to give him the second half of his food because he's a pig. But anyway. So this is a kind of a common thing. I saw there was another one where library book displays caused backlash in, I think it was out in the East Coast. So this is going on everywhere. The other one I wanted to talk about is the spy plane surveillance. Okay. This one is kind of interesting to me. This one came out of the ABA Journal. And I gotta click cookies. Ugh, I hate cookies. So ABA Journal talks about privacy law. So spy plane surveillance violates the Fourth Amendment, according to the appeals court in en banc. Federal appeals court ruled 8-7, very close, almost didn't pass, that a warrantless aerial surveillance program run by the Baltimore Police Department violated the Fourth Amendment. So, okay, guys. God, my cats. So this is the Fourth U.S. Circuit Court of Appeals at Richmond, Virginia, ruled on Thursday in a lawsuit on behalf of grassroots community advocates by the ACLU and the ACLU of Maryland. The program was known as the Aerial Investigation Research Program, shortened to AIR. AIR. So, and I call it error as ERROR. The planes conducted surveillance in Baltimore using high-tech cameras to record the movements of the city, the majority said. Aerial photography was used to track movements of people and vehicles in connections with serious crimes. So they were using it to track people that they were suspecting of it. And no warrants, nothing to say there's a reason for it. So the majority opinion came out, and Gregory was Chief Judge Roger Gregory was a majority of opinion. Also, is concurring opinion that addresses dissenters' arguments. Gregory is an appointee of former President Bill Clinton. Because the AIR program enables police to deduce from the whole of individuals' movements, we hold that accessing its data is a search, and a warrantless operation violates the Fourth Amendment. So this is setting it up so hopefully around the rest of the country, they cannot do warrantless searches by using aerial photography to track people, which I've suspected for a long time is going on regularly all around the globe. So this also cited the 2018 U.S. Supreme Court decision, Carpenter versus United States, which held that police generally have to get a warrant supported by a probable cause before obtaining cell phone location data. So it kind of, so Carpenter applies squarely to this case, and that is why they made this decision. Carpenter identified a reasonable expectation of privacy in the whole of a person's physical movements. AIR tracked every movement of every person who is outside in Baltimore, every person, everywhere. And the data was retained for at least 45 days. So data collected in the program, often shorter snippets of several hours or less collected during daytime hours, still enables a wealth of detail greater than the sum of individual trips. Therefore, because the AIR program opens up an intimate window into a person's associations and activities, it violates the reasonable expectation of privacy individuals have in the whole of their movements. So, the other side of it, though, is the decision does not express our opposition to innovation in policing or the use of technology to advance public safety. It only is to emphasize the role of the warrant requirement remains unchanged as the new search capabilities arise. So get your warrants, police, and then it's okay. So this is a case, is the case that was part of the landmark, makes clear that Constitution forbids police departments from deploying this kind of dystopian aerial surveillance. The case of Leaders of a Beautiful Struggle versus Baltimore Police Department. Yes, that is awesome. I am really glad to see that that is the outcome. Okay. Let me just check really quick. Yep. It goes so quickly. So then the next one I wanted to go over, I can't do the New Yorker ones because I have looked at too many of those articles and it blocks me. And then I have to go find it again on the library website and it takes too long. Sorry. Oh, so there's talking about critical race theory. And you guys, you're going to have to do a deep dive on that. Why are people afraid of it? And the ACLU on fighting critical race theory bans. So there's two sides of it, and it's become a political issue. I might click on the Guardian one. I think that won't block me. I look at too many news articles every day. The ACLU on fighting critical race theory bans. It's about our country reckoning with racism. And I don't really think that the people who are against critical race theory are totally being racist. Yeah, it blocked me on that too. I look at too many of these articles every month. It's already like only the 8th of July and I've already gotten to my max. That sucks. So anyway, that's why anytime somebody posts an article, I get mad when it's one of my main 5 that I look at all the time. Like, dang it, you used up one of my articles. Dang it. Um, the Atlantic is one of the ones that I like to look at all the time. Um, this is The Internet is Rotting. I wonder if I've gotten to them yet. Yeah, I only have 2 more articles this month. Too much has been lost already. The glue that holds humanity's knowledge together is coming undone. So The Atlantic has a great article on June 30th. They talk about Arthur C. Clarke observed that any sufficiently advanced technology is indistinguishable from magic. I love that quote. The internet, how we communicate with one another and together, preserves the intellectual products of human civilization, fits Clarke's observation well. Steve Jobs said it just works as readily as clicking, tapping, or speaking. We all are brought together by the internet. And if things don't work, it feels like a failed spell. So that is part of our vast and super complex and yet sometimes simple digital networks. They're technologies that haven't already, if they haven't been invented, probably wouldn't unfold the same way again. The internet has an architecture and it's constraint and freedom and there's academically minded designers. They didn't expect to make lots of money to do it. They just wanted to share information, and then yet it became big money. So rather than a single centralized network modeled after the old telephone system, the internet's like a spider web, reaching out and growing, and it's very organic, really. So what's the problem then? The, they gave away the protocols for free. The idea of the internet was pure and lovely. And I mean, I remember using Gopher and it was all text based. And then the first browser came out and it was like we had AOL then. And like you could remember that it like dial in and that horrible, horrific noise. But it was very satisfying when you finally got on. Slow. If you wanted to get a picture, you'd like start downloading a picture before you went to bed, and by the morning maybe you would have a whole picture. Sometimes it would crash, then you'd start over. Dawn of the internet, like it only was about 25 years ago. Think about that. It seemed the internet would make huge improvements and like you'd be able to find anything and everything, and yet we still can't find everything and anything. Why not? Students design web crawlers to follow and record every single link they could find and follow every link at the end of that link. And there's top 10 hits and trillions of pages. And Google is an ever growing library of billions of books with no central filing system. There's no rhyme or reason to the internet. And yet we lose things all the time. Part of our history is on the internet and it's gone. So there is a link rot. One of my favorite sites is the Internet Archive. You know, the record of the past websites. You know, it goes out and it grabs everything and holds on to it. But a lot of things are still getting lost. There's not a home for it. There's not a way to save it forever, and it's going to go away. We take for granted that we're so digital and everything is disposable. We throw it away. What's going to happen in 20 years when we want to go back and go, you remember in 2000 and 2021 when the pandemic, all these people wrote about their experiences? Let's go look at those and they're gone. How would you feel if you wanted to go back and do the history of what we've gone through? And it's all gone. And that's the problem we're starting to have. 50% of the links embedded in the Court of Opinions since 1996 no longer worked. 75% of the links in the Harvard Law Review no longer worked. So links on major news sites, ones that, it's their business to have links that work, don't work. So where is the information? How can you get to it if the links are all broken? And this isn't just academic or judicial opinions. There's things like cartoons, there's memes that actually are social commentary. So You go back to 1998, 72% of all the links are dead. They don't exist anymore. They're not out there. You can't get to them again. We need to preserve what's on the internet. It's part of who we are. So how do we do that? That is the question. There's a lot of efforts going on all around the globe to digitize paper and images of searchable text, which is a good start. But why not also digitize and save websites, things that have meaning, blogs, stuff that may go away because you stop paying for the website access. It's part of what we are. Libraries are no longer custodians for everything and anything. It used to be we'd have local libraries would have local news, and they would get microfilm, microfiche, so it would always be there. If you needed to go look up a news article, it would be there, and it would have your obituaries and your births and your marriages and all the local news that happened there. And as news has kind of slipped away too, that's going away, and there's no you may not have a local newspaper anymore to publish that in, and who's keeping that? That's the stuff that's going to start disappearing. Our history is going away because there is not it doesn't exist anymore. Deletion isn't the only issue. It can be redacted, it can be changed. Sometimes people have gone back and changed things because they say it's incorrect, or our views have changed. It's no longer what we said that was racist back then. We don't believe that anymore, so we redacted that information. Redacting is censorship as well. And sometimes you need to have proof that something bad happened. You're like, did I imagine that they posted this horrible cartoon? And I can't find it anywhere, so it might have been in my imagination. And you may be totally right. It could be totally gone. So this isn't a hypothetical. This is something that is happening all the time. And I think about this is that your Twitters, your Google stuff, your websites, your Facebook post, is it going to exist in another 100 years? Is it going to exist in another 5 years? Can we, somebody turns off their Facebook page or their profile, and it might be all gone. I worry about that. So there are, Amber is an example of one website archiving another. There's Internet Archive was one of my favorites. It had started a partnership in 2020 with a company called Cloudflare. And so this websites enable always-on service that see their content automatically archived by the Wayback Machine, which I love. Wayback Machine has saved my butt so many times. So a 2021 citation to a page may not be reliable, but you can go back to 2017 or 2024 and see what the difference was. And I think that's great. So send some money to the Wayback Machine, the Internet Archive. They, if you're looking for a place to send money here, and let's say you have more money than you know what to do with, society can't understand itself if it can't be honest with itself, and it can't be honest with itself if it can only live in the present moment. We need to remember our past, and we need to enact policies and technologies that will let us see where we've been and where we've made mistakes and effed up. So we might have to have a sense of where we are and where we want to go. So that is a great, the internet is a collective hallucination by The Atlantic. That's the gist of that. So if you need more intellectual freedom news, one of my favorite places to go is the Intellectual Freedom blog from the American Library Association. They have some of these snippets and many, many, many more. And they talk about Dr. Seuss and all sorts of cool stuff that's going on all over the country. So check that out. And it looks like I'm out of time. Oh, you're doing that right now? Oh my God, good. I'm so glad you guys all could join me today. Oh, I love it. I love you guys. I have the best time talking, and I could probably talk for another whole hour about all this stuff because I love the intellectual freedom news and chatting. But start doing your outlines. I want to see you guys write at least one book this year. How about that? Instead of maybe 12 books, a book a month. Start with one, see how you feel about it. Don't take forever. just do it. Write up your outline, then start writing it. Spend an hour a day, spend half an hour a day, if that's all you can do. But I bet you if you did that and you had wrote about something you loved, you could make it happen. I want you all to be rich. I want you all to be famous, so that way we can all go and hang out and party at the end. You know, that'll be awesome. So love you guys. Have a great rest of the week. Remember, next week I'm not going to be there. I'm doing a class, so I'll be gone all week. But the week after that, I'll be back and we'll hang out. So love you all. Have a great week. See you later.